to the Team Chill timeline. Grand rising, grand afternoon, grand evening, or grand rest, wherever you are, whenever you tune in. In this session, we're going to be doing a Team Chill energy check-in, keeping things as high vibe as possible. Hello, Brostar. Brother, I see. Welcome back. Thank you so very much for being here. Before we get started, I'm going to say a quick prayer. And then we're going to get a significator from the Shadow Work deck to get this storyline started. To give us some basis of where the energy lies at this time. Let me get my cup out of the way here so we have more room. And here we go. Dear source of all that is, was, and will ever be, I thank you today and each and every day for all that you do and all that you do through me. We call upon you at this time. Commanding in alignment as we stand in your divine authority and your perfect will. By the power of divine law, we now open our lives to abundant security, stability, and protection. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. Every case caused concern, conflict, or negative confrontation dissolves into nothingness by the radiance of your light. We command true prosperity to flow into our lives. Prosperity that nourishes our souls, sustains our bodies, and blesses all who walk with us. Wealth and resources are now aligned to our highest purposes. We command good fortune to follow us in all things as doors of opportunity open before us effortlessly, and every step we take is guided by divine will. Call forth true love, divinely ordained, harmonious, and eternal. Our hearts and souls are aligned to receive and give love in its purest, most sacred form. May our paths be illuminated, our spirits fortified, and our lives a testament to the boundless grace of the Creator. So it is, so it is, so it is, and so it shall be. Source. Message line, Holy Spirit of Source. What is the basis of today's energy check-in, please, for the collective? Here we go. Oh, and there we have it. Out comes that self-destructive card again. This one has shown itself recently. But it is also one of those cards that we're not meant to necessarily take literally and immediately for face value. There's more to this archetype, and we're going to take a closer look. With the custom to these cards, basically a storybook. This is a storytelling channel. Ah, yes, number 62. And the basis of this energy check-in in the upright, we'll just say, what self-destructive patterns could the collective be or have been? noticing in themselves lately? How may we as a collective possibly be getting in our own way to a degree? Getting in the way of our full potential in some kind of way. We're being called to identify these patterns and lean into promoting personal growth and well-being with this card at this time. All right. To get a little bit more detail now, we're going to go into the Woodland Wardens for a bit more to this particular storytelling session with the cards. The Woodland Wardens, a channel favorite, and not just a cameo, it's a permanent addition. Put it back where we had it. A permanent addition to this channel. All right, here we go into the Woodland Wardens for a bit more in terms of this energy. In what areas and in what manner could we, as the collective, be getting in our own way of our full potential in some kind of way? Source, Holy Spirit, please provide us a bit more of the story from the Woodland Wardens. Here we go. Into the Woodland Wardens. Yes. How's the sound on your end? Can you hear me okay, everyone? If you can hear me, please drop 999 in the chat. Here we go. Thank you, Misty Dawn Morris. Thank you so much. Okay, we made a full pass, so that's indication that the energy to be addressed is still in our immediate orbit. And we have safety in reverse. So what I'm getting from this with the eel and iris in reverse is that to some degree the collective may have been recently like overthinking and over questioning safety, regardless of what it pertains to. It's been in question. And it's like the overthinking about it that has been somewhat blocking our growth and progress to a degree. Like over questioning it. It's giving off that like fight, flight, or fawn, or what is it, fight? It doesn't matter, but it's giving that vibe. It's giving like deer in headlights, kind of. But it's really the collective. We're getting in our own way to some degree. And part of that storyline has to do with like overthinking, over questioning safety. And it can mean a number of different things. So, perhaps to a degree it's not even really overthinking. What's happening is it's stirring up, like, think of how like the eel would be moving along the bottom of that body of water and kind of stirring up the clay and the mud a little bit. So this over questioning isn't really over questioning, but it is stirring things up. There's indication here that more boundaries, healthy boundaries, do need to be set. So the collective isn't actually overthinking their safety. What's happening is speaking up about it, taking more action in terms of it, is stirring things up in the environment. Especially, this is all past tense now, to a degree. This is involving transgressions that have already occurred. And it's not about feeling like a victim or playing that victim role at all. It's more about the awareness by way of experience that's being demonstrated here. This iris is a symbol of victory, which is also indication that the collective has been thriving much better than perhaps originally perceived. You're pulling through. The collective is pulling through in some kind of way. Or something is pulling through for the collective. So, there's also a separate message here about how the collective could be extending that sense of safety for someone who just recently may have experienced some kind of betrayal. So even though it's in the orbit and in the environment of the collective, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's directly pertaining to the collective. So what we're going to do is go back into the cards to get a bit more detail. Because with healthy boundaries needing to be placed a bit more, I'm picking up on some gaslighting. In such a way, though, that they're trying to make it look like healthy mischief. And so we're going to drop that down. It's in the immediate environment. And we're not meant to go into extreme detail. But at some point, there was some mischief involved with that marten and foxglove. Now, we're going to go into the Kipper with a bit more. in terms of this energy. Hello, I am a traveler at heart, but I am in the Midwest, USA at this time. Hello, Yogi. Thank you so much for tuning in. For creating a energy check-in storyline for the collective at this time. And the current energy is questioning safety in numerous different ways. Oh, that card really wanted to come out. Involving some kind of mischief that already occurred. And we have the coffin in reverse. So, this is a transformation that has already occurred that may have caused some kind of message of concern in the environment. Remember, we're putting a story together here, an energy check-in story. There it is with the house right behind that. It is something that already occurred, but that is still like a recent ordeal involving not necessarily literally the homestead, but this house card does represent security, stability, safety, and a secure foundation. And to some degree, it's going to resonate for anyone because no matter how it applies, it involves some kind of rocky foundation that has occurred that started with mischief. It could have even been started out as like playful mischief that turned into something not so playful. But nevertheless, it had the collective looking self-destructive to some degree by like consistently questioning safety. But then the safety card itself showed up in the immediate environment. So it's not just a figment of the imagination for the collective. Although nothing is real, everything is a hologram, nothing truly exists. In this current storyline and projection, this is what has occurred and this is where we're at. A message of concern about a rocky foundation that has developed due to a transformation that has already occurred. Perhaps even a growth spurt where the collective has outgrown where they are. And it has caused a message of concern for others. But remember, at the end of the day, there are no others. Every move we make and every decision we make affects others. However, with bad health in reverse at the bottom, this is not anything that anyone should truly be concerned about in terms of a major upheaval. Just a little shakeup. Just a little shakeup going on here. It may not feel that way at the moment, but that's what it is. It's just a little shakeup. The foundation may be a little rocky, but at least Source is saying to a degree that you're not going crazy. Something occurred in the most recent environment that affected the confidence of the collective. No matter what it applies to, no matter the connection, it occurred. And nobody around here is going to tell you that you're crazy and that you just imagined it. But again, we're not meant to be conveying any kind of negative message here necessarily. Just a little something that came up that stirred things up. Let's take a closer look with that graceful persistence still in the environment of the collective. There's some significance to that. As it's reappearing in the environment, there has to be more to it. Source is saying, Holy Spirit, let them know it's all about that shock appeal at the moment, for some reason or another. You're soaring at new heights that make the impossible appear possible. That's what's happening here. You're doing much better than expected. Much better. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Misty. Thank you for your kindness. For you as well, Garvit. Thank you so much for tuning in, as well as anyone who may be listening in who isn't into participating in the chat. That's perfectly fine. Absolutely. I'm loving where this energy check-in is going, though. Especially with this graceful persistence showing up again. And the collective showing even more signs of having that Hawkeye's view, that awareness that I mentioned just a little bit ago. Becoming a lot more sharp and keen, Holy Spirit just said. Your clairs are sharpening. Your clairs are sharpening. Beautiful. And it's blowing people's minds, possibly including your own. Like, you may be a little awestruck at how things are coming together for you at this time. It may be giving off that a little bit of that, it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. But it's not. It's just it's creating a little shakeup. Sometimes we get a little discouraged at the beginning of a shakeup. And it may seem like a message of concern. But when in all actuality, it is not going to create any harm towards anyone to any degree, with that bad health being upside down. It's all an illusion, except that that real need and necessity by way of your experiences that increased your awareness, and was like, hey, healthy boundaries coming in and taking flight. Healthy boundaries. Maintaining your grace and dignity. Sharpening your talons but not losing your crown. Yeah. Interestingly enough, it is due to that 7-day outlook calling the collective to be more of an observer this week. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. We're not even halfway through the week, and that graceful persistence is already showing back up in the orbit. But yet, for some reason, there's still something, a little something, that was kicking up the mud, kicking up dirt, just like a boar would, creating a little mischief. But it isn't anything that the collective cannot see through. Overcoming being so easily influenced and reactive to the environment, and it's blowing people's minds. It is. But not in a negative way. I mean, it may be a bit uncomfortable, but not the kind that affects the health in any way, shape, or form. Disclaimer alert. Disclaimer alert. Not a doctor, not a diagnosis, not a prescription, not a prognosis. I am simply the messenger. Please do not pew pew the messenger. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Oh, yeah. Because with judication upside down in the environment, this is giving indication that we're doing just fine and keeping on that path, handling it ourselves, not having to rely on others to be the judge or to do the decision making, especially concerning important partnerships, not necessarily of the romantic type with this card, but there's that number 3 again. Oh me, oh my. So whatever it is, we can trust our better judgment with it. Especially connections of importance. To some degree, for contextual purposes, guys. For contextual purposes. And this is an energy that is more about abundance than lack, with that poverty card also upside down. Dolly, hello, beautiful sister. Welcome, welcome in. Thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and pin that comment. Thank you for being so helpful. I love you so much. Love you, love you. With equal reciprocity coming in, the reverse of poverty. Boys, you heard it here first, coming in with that equal reciprocity. And it doesn't even feel like work. It doesn't even feel like work. Beautiful. So, speaking of reciprocity, with the combination of making better judgment in terms of sacred connections and doing away with that lack mentality in such a way that it feels effortless, I see what's happening here. I see an expansion of consciousness, a paradigm shift that brings in such an element of shock and awe that it's like it's making a skeptic out of everybody to a degree. But what's actually happening here is through that expansion of consciousness and that hawk eye view, that unity consciousness is becoming even more integrated, be it consciously or unconsciously or otherwise. It's happening organically. But here's the thing. There was a transformation that occurred that also caused a bit of mischief in the environment. Affected the confidence of the collective. Nevertheless, it's a done deal. And from the very start, we took the advice to not focus on it and followed our better judgment right from the go. And it's becoming more and more effortless, collective. This is actually turning out to be a pretty phenomenal energy check-in storyline here. Like, yes, I mean, with humility still in place, pat yourself on the back a little bit. Hello, Brostar, Archie. Hello, hello. How you doing, brother? It's great to see you. It's great to see all of you here. Thank you. I'm just going to take a quick peek in the chat, make sure I didn't miss anyone. Misty Dawn. Well, you seem like you have been very polite and kind. So, if we can keep it kind, you get to also keep your blue suit. Yes, Garvit, this message is for everyone listening. It is just a general message. It is not personal. Thank you, Archie. Much gratitude and appreciation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're here because you've been missing your something. That's okay. That's okay. We always cross paths. It always works out. Thank you. Thank you for popping in and being so kind and generous to hang out for a little while. All right. Garvit, if you can keep it kind, you also can keep your blue suit. Do please, when you have the chance, connect with one another. Show each other support. Anyone who has an active channel and you're looking to grow, you are welcome, welcome, welcome to share your links. All right. Let's do another full pass with the Kipper for this energy check-in. We already have one flipping over. We have the message card landing on transformation, judication, and toil and labor. So, a message. Welcome, shout out to the Philippines. Feel free to drop where you're from in the comments and in the chat section if you're tuning in live. Miss Blipper, oh my gosh, how did I not see you? You clever gal, you snuck right in behind Yogi. Hello, beautiful sister. Thank you so much for being here. Of course, as always. Always, always, always good vibes. Thank you for tuning in from Italy, Miss Blipper. Tuning in from the East Coast with Yogi and the Philippines with Archie. Look, if you're not comfortable sharing where you're tuning in from, that's perfectly fine as well. Here we go. Let's talk a little bit more about this message card coming out and landing on our better judgment, effortless better judgment even. Using our better judgment has been more and more effortless. And somebody's been in denial about it. There's that surrealism. There's that imposter syndrome creeping up. It is not too good to be true. Something a little more life-changing than just this little bit of petty mischief that occurred is coming in for the collective. For the most part, it does involve some kind of business or vocation, and some kind of communication. I'm picking up on communication that's going to turn all of this around to some degree. This little bit of petty mischief that came out, it's all going to be turned around and resolved by the 7th day of this week. So by Saturday of this week, whatever this is, this petty mischief, it's all going to be taken care of. It's going to be ironed out. Because the collective is already seeing through it. Hello, Falcon. Bro Star, welcome, welcome. Thank you so very much for tuning in. In our immediate orbit, as a matter of fact, we have our A-team in tow. These are our connections. Like-minded connections, of course, in the collective, but also it's not just about the like-minded. We can have differences. Family, relatives, and even friends. Some kind of improvement and positive message involving a community, a family, a group of friends, associations. This is giving that teamwork made the dream work, or is making the dream work energy right here. A positive atmosphere where multiple people are involved, no matter the connection. Found family, loyalty, cooperation, group efforts, helping each other. Right here, right here. Right here. Yes. Dolly Sam, put some respect on it. And it's in the immediate orbit, which means it's already happening. The collective is gaining more and more of that reverence and respect for one another. And this is vast majority even through multiple different forms of social interactions beyond the cramped conditions of wherever we live. Places of work, even taverns, street corners, and connections where we can share about our daily lives, all different backgrounds. And don't forget, our A-team is always in the background, always on standby, along with the connections that we're making in the now. New connections, even. Courtship is all about new connections. Falcon says, "Hear ye, hear ye. Let it be known that Abigail is the favorite mod. God is awesome, Abigail. Hello, Life and Switch. Hello, everybody coming in. Hello, hello. You're good and you are married. Beautiful. Well, these new connections coming in, even with the courtship card, it's not meant to be taken literal. This courtship can be a new connection of any kind. Platonic, business, a new friend. It doesn't have to involve romance whatsoever. So, these new connections can apply in multiple different ways. And also, since Cupid does not have his bow and arrow drawn, this is indication that it is a connection that is already in the mix. Some kind of connection in passing has already been made. It's already been made. Some kind of association of some kind has already been in the orbit. Oh, yes. So, this is a good thing. Okay. Not only is the community and the collective's A team on their A game, it's going to be ongoing. It's indefinite. It's indefinite. And more of the new is coming through. More and more effortlessly seeing past the mischief and more into seeing through that eye, the eyes of beauty, the third eye. Seeing that potential to blossom in numerous ways in all beings. Seeing that potential in everything. I've also been picking up on like an awakening that has occurred that for the collective to some degree, not for everyone, but to some degree, when this awakening, this forced awakening first started to occur, where things got stirred up. This involves um, having to work on humility a bit more, like some kind of grandeur ego episode or flare up that occurred immediately following this forced awakening. So then it went from spontaneous awakening to the ego, like jumping right back in, like, oh no, you might have knocked me down, but you didn't knock me out. When the collective is starting to realize that it's not about getting in the ring with the ego at all. And so in this message, the marriage card is really more about, it's more about choosing a different teacher, something that is going to bring more sustenance to humanity. Ah, what song is it, Abigail? You walked on water once? Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. So, this main female card is representing forgiveness and grace at this time, and it's in the immediate orbit. Oh, a God song hit you? You don't remember the name, and that's okay. But what's happening here is with the white roses blossoming on the table, this is evidence of, well, not, I can't really claim it to be evidence, even though I say that a lot for contextual purposes. But this is about purity and innocence being restored and choosing love. But there had to be some light, some natural light shone on the situation, whatever it is that was stirring things up. Some kind of light had to be shown upon it with love, not malice or hatred whatsoever. Seeing through it is where that harmony is restored. And then, as a result, the collective no longer feels stuck. Oh, and right behind that in the immediate environment, there's that 10 and journey card. Well on your way towards letting things settle wherever they may settle. And by choosing a different teacher other than the ego, following that third eye, with that Hawkeye view, a broader perspective. A broader perspective has been in the works. But here's the thing, that awakening, that spontaneous awakening, or that paradigm shift of an aha moment, the transformation already occurred. So to some degree, the mischief started because there was some kind of reaction or retaliation towards or due to that transformation. It was unexpected to whoever was most affected by it, this drastic upheaval or drastic change that already happened. That instead of crumbling the collective, it broadened your perspectives. Leading, whether it's self-directed or otherwise, with more grace. Spiritual, emotional maturity with this card. Incoming. And with the change upside down, this is a change that has already been occurring. Beautiful. Some of you may have even recently been connecting with an older, more well-versed influence, a positive influence with this card. Or this is you becoming that. There's also a main male on the table. I mean, a main female. So This could very well represent, regardless of gender, growth. Some kind of growth. Like a growth spurt. It was so spontaneous and like poof, that it's still to some degree to the collective or in the collective's environment. Nevertheless, there's still to a degree that belief that either someone is experiencing some kind of imposter syndrome, having a hard time believing in their own abilities and instincts and intuitions, or someone in the environment is feeling that way about the collective. But that growth, yeah, it's occurring. It's occurring. This mature woman could also represent a meddler. A meddler. And this is not gossip. I'm just telling a story here, guys. A meddler creating mischief to affect the competence of the collective. So, we're going to go now into the Hungarian gypsy for a bit more. We'll see how everything lands. We're going to make one full pass for a bit more detail pertaining to this energy check-in for the collective. A bit more to the story, please, Source, Holy Spirit. Here we go. Whatever it is we are most meant to see at this time, from the bottom. We have Thief in reverse. Even more indication that the collective will not be taking any losses over this petty mischief whatsoever. No one will be. No one in the environment, no one involved is taking any kind of loss. It's all going to be settled. Whatever it is, it can mean a number of different things. It can involve a relationship at home. It can involve your vocation. It can involve a dispute that you had over a cut of meat at your butcher. It could be anything. But for the most part, it's not that simple. It's something that started out pretty darn complex with a major spontaneous awakening. But it's the real deal, and you're not taking any losses. And we have the widower right behind that in the environment. Now, this energy is more about being well seasoned. Like, this is somebody who's really, like, been through it. Also, man, there's been some pining over a loved one. Pining over a loved one. So, it's almost as though either the collective or someone in the environment of the collective is not prepared to either let go of the one going through this major transformation major level up here, major growth, or they're still having a hard time believing it because they're stuck on a different timeline, looking towards the past and becoming more and more isolated as a result of it. Otherwise, this spontaneous awakening that caused like a major growth spurt is what the collective is having a hard time accepting. It's like the old self has been, figuratively speaking, going to battle with the higher self. But that too good to be true imposter syndrome about this growth could also be what has been getting in the way of the collective's full potential. And that's where it all started, right here, with the collective getting in their own way of their full potential. Until they started voicing their concerns about safety in multiple different forms, okay? And by voicing that with graceful persistence, there was some mischief. Something got stirred up. Somebody felt a little bit bothered by that questioning, okay? And it brought more awareness to the collective about whatever situation it is, okay? A broader perspective, new perspectives. What started out as appearing as mischief to some of the collective is actually turning out to be someone who was having a forced awakening and they were having a hard time dealing with it, having a hard time adjusting, like a what would it be? A nervous system overload, going from, the present or past version to the now, the higher self. For some of the collective, that mischief was the ego, which doesn't exist, by the way. Our convincing and allowing of the ego to get in the way of our confidence. So many different scenarios already, and any one of them can apply. Oh, and a card stuck to my finger and then fell on my lap, and it was the lost card. The illusion of loss. The illusion of loss that's already in the environment was what was getting in the way of the collective's full potential all along. For some of the collective, it was some kind of uninvited encounter, unsolicited exchange of information or an unexpected, uninvited visitor. Who, with the falseness card in the upright in the environment, did not have the best of intentions at heart. Okay, now I'm not sharing any of this to create any kind of fear-based mentality. Right back to that transformation with the death card in reverse. It's right back to the beginning. Both cards are in reverse, though. Hello, Lilu. Brostar, hello. We missed you, bro. It's great to see you here. So, fear of what may be lost in the transition is in the environment, end to end. The transformation is already occurring. Source Holy Spirit is saying there's no stopping it from end to end. It is as it is. It started with a transformation that was being denied. And then here we are now. It's still in the environment. And the old woman, the energy of the old woman, something from the past that the collective is still trying to incorporate into the now. For some, that loss, that illusion of loss, could be that sense of that feeling like you may be running out of time concerning a situation or a relationship, a job, whatever, wherever it applies. Otherwise, this is trying to take old parts of yourselves into the next timeline. And Source is saying, we can't take everything with us during this growth spurt. We can't take it all with us. It's a no bueno. However, there are golden nuggets that we can incorporate into our lives, moving onward. Parts that we overstood that will have a lasting effect. That lasting effect card already showed itself as well. The changes, the paradigm shifts that are occurring now. Those spontaneous, sometimes even forced awakenings, expanding our consciousness, making our clairs even more sharp. It's all going to have a lasting effect on our loved ones. And in the name of love, it's already in the environment. I cannot make it up. Love in multiple ways, shapes, and forms. And I'm here to remind the collective with love that all the comparisons, all the illusions of separation are just that. It's an illusion. The only thing that's real is love. You're married to fishing. You're married to fishing. What is it? Reassess? Okay. Well, looky there. Love is in the air. Yes. And the more it blossoms, the more it feels like a gift. Because love, in multiple ways, shapes, and forms, is that gift that keeps on giving and an everlasting. Everlasting love is all we need, and loyalty right behind it. True love in its purest, most sacred form. And to some degree, it probably still feels too good to be true. But it's that stinking thinking. It's that stinking thinking that came out this week in the 7-day outlook. That stinking thinking. We have unexpected joy upside down. Okay. What could this possibly mean? It could mean that we have been getting in the way of our own good times. Dang it all. This whole time, we have been the ones getting in the way of our own good times. Harmony, joy, laughter. But also embracing that the joy that comes from entertainment before entertainment went to crap. Creativity as well. Expecting more creativity to come from us. A well of creativity, I just heard. A well of creativity. And being guided to expect the unexpected with that broader perspective. And look what's right behind it. Already in the immediate orbit, we have merriment. Unexpected joy, expected merriment. Overcoming that imposter syndrome, and with the officer, the official right behind that, seeing yourself in a more authentic way, seeing your true self. It's like, to thine own self be true. Being more true to yourself. And in turn, walking that walk. Walking that walk. True and blue. True blue. More authentic versions of you. And you better believe it. Because that lack of belief is where the story started. Getting in our own way in terms of our full potential. But the smoke is clearing. No more cause for alarm. we can continue to follow our dreams and our passions on that Team Chill timeline. I mean, just look how chill she is. This can represent any one of you. Any one of you. Energy does not recognize gender. And there we are, full circle with the message that these connections are divinely orchestrated, genuine, the real deal. The real deal. And being all up in our thoughts about it is where that mischief started. Getting in the way of our sixth sense, our intuitions. Again, we're not always to take these in literal form. Some money, there's 6 cents on the table. Getting in the way of our own intuitions. All along. Wow. Okay. Okay. Let's figure out a way to draw this to a close. Let's bring in an archetype. We're going to bring in an archetype, an ally to assist us in restoring our confidence and overcoming that imposter syndrome. Source, through Holy Spirit, please show us our ally to guide and assist us in the restoration of our confidence and overcoming imposter syndrome with a broader perspective and expanded consciousness. Here we go. Bringing in an ally for the collective, an archetype to be activated. Wow. We have the king. Wow. This is number 12. I said choosing a different teacher. In comes the archetype of benevolent leadership right here. Whether it's self-directing or stepping further into a calling involving leadership that is graceful. It already came out. Graceful leadership. Spiritual maturity. Benevolent leadership. Service. That is the archetype being activated for the collective in this story. Deep healing. Deep healing has occurred. Wow. Some may think of the king as the ultimate expression of the ego, yet the great kings of mythology and history served from an egoless place. They take their throne with grace and humility. There we are, spinning the block right back around to when I mentioned humility in the very beginning. overcoming that grand law ego flare up that happened at the very beginning of that forced and spontaneous awakening. And it happens more often than one would like to believe. No one escapes the ego, but we're not meant to go up against it and contend with it either. We're just meant to see through it. Whether we're directing ourselves or others. The benevolence. Without creating oppression towards ourselves or others. Realizing that there was no middle ground. In contending with the ego. This involves the collective stepping so much further into their calling, healing deep and long-standing discrepancies, generations deep. That community card also came out a little bit ago from the Kipper. And I mentioned our A-team being in tow all along, including our ancestors in the background. Healing the ancestral line through these spontaneous awakenings, beloveds. That is powerful. And you've been doing it so genuinely and so organically that for some reason it stirred things up a little bit and felt surreal all the way around. It affected everybody in some kind of way, regardless of the situation, regardless of the connection. Leading without oppression. Thoroughly vetted to avoid corruption. And you pass the test. Thoroughly vetted. And what came out of it? A broader perspective. Thoroughly vetted. And what came out of it? A broader perspective. And in the immediate environment of the collective from the Kipper, we have great fortune. A mindset that has been shifting so profoundly that you're seeing through a whole new set of eyes in multiple ways, shapes, forms, modalities, areas of your life, from the mundane to the spiritual. That awareness is so illuminated now, it's undeniable. It's undeniable. Long-lasting, great fortune just means long-lasting in terms of spiritual context. Otherwise, to say the ego loves the word great. So, also, seeing through the eyes of beauty, that word takes on a different meaning. And so does fortune. So does fortune. Wow. So, to draw this message to a close, These spontaneous awakenings have been causing quite the stir-up, but nevertheless, it's also creating new opportunities that are drawing more and more satisfaction into the daily lives of the collective. This card also announces new perspectives and improvements in all relationship matters. Confirmation of the hawk and the thistle. Number 26 is matching energies with that card, the hawk and the thistle, graceful persistence. So now the great fortune card takes on a whole new meaning of graceful persistence, and we got a confirmation bark from the fur baby. Happy surprises rolling in as a result of overcoming that ego flare up in the beginning of that forced awakening. Beautiful. New perspectives and new opportunities and improvements in all forms of relationship matters. Beautiful. To take it in more of a fantasy form, wishes coming true, dreams coming true. Health, wealth, happiness, fruitfulness, all aligned with the collective's true purpose. True purpose. True purpose. Beloveds. Nullifying the harmful effects of any other energy that came out. And really the only thing that came out to that effect was some mischief that was stirred up to affect the confidence of the collective. And that mission failed because the collective took the high road instead. And that is the message. Thank you so very much, everyone, for tuning in. It's been quite a joy. This energy check-in took an awesome, I wouldn't even call it a U-turn, but it definitely went in a positive direction somehow. And I'm so happy to see that for each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in. Multiversal Soul Familia. Hello, Raven. Bro Star, welcome. You're catching the tail end, my friend. But you made it in long enough for me to mod you up. Hello. Welcome, Bro Star. Thank you so much for being here. You're making my cheeks hurt. I'm so happy to see you, my friend. It's been a while. But we are drawing things to a close now. Yeah. Taking the high road. That's the message. With much gratitude and appreciation. From my heart chakra to yours, brightest of blessings and agape, omni love, an expanded consciousness to all. Brightest blessings.